March the 1st, 1922.
Did you grow up in Jackson, Kentucky?
I did.
Do you have any siblings?
2.
Two? Brothers or sisters?
Let's see. I had 9 brothers and 2 sisters. No, 8 brothers and 2 sisters. There's 11 of us.
Did any of your other brothers end up in the service?
No.
No? So you were the only boy?
I was the only one.
Okay. What was your father's trade?
How old was my father?
What was his trade? What type of work did your father do?
Farmer.
Farmer. Did you have any hobbies or play any sports growing up?
No, about all the thing we did is hunt and fish a little.
Hunt and fish? And did you go to high school in Jackson?
Nope.
No.
Never got a high school education.
Where were you on Sunday, December 7th, 1941?
Watertown, New York.
And what were you doing there?
4th Armored Division.
So how and when did you enter the service?
Went to service April the 23rd, 1941.
What did your parents think about you joining the service?
Well, I volunteered when I was 17 now. I'm pretty sure my mother wouldn't sign, so I boosted my age up one. Still on my driver's license. I'm 1 year older than I really am. So, and I wasn't called into the service as a draftee for 1 year. Then I was the age limit, and I went in.
And where were you inducted into the service?
In Bethany, Kentucky. We moved out. That's down in another county. We moved out from Jackson into another county.
And where was the first place you were sent? Where was the first place you were sent for training?
Pine Camp, New York. I think it's Camp Drum now, but it's Pine Camp, New York at that time.
And what type of training did you have there? Was that your basic training?
I took my basic training there, and then went to the, of course, I was with the 4th Armored Division at that time. Whatever.
Now, did you train with tanks? What type of tanks did you train with?
Right.
What type of tanks were there?
Ooh, wasn't much of a tanks actually.
No?
And I only stayed with them 1 year anyway, 4th Armored.
So how long were you in New York with 4th Armored?
About 1 year.
And then where did you go from there?
Fort Knox, Kentucky.
And what unit did you join there?
8th Armored Division.
8th Armored? And how long were you at Fort Knox for?
About 8 months.
And were you in a tank battalion or an infantry regiment? At Fort Knox, what type of unit were you in? Were you in a tank battalion? Or an army?
I went to 12th Armored Division. That's when the 12th Armored Division was formed. I was sent down there as a cedar.
And what battalion were you in?
Then it was 56, and then it was a regiment, and they didn't have battalions, okay? It was the 56th Armored Infantry. No, wait a minute now. Battalion. Regiment, they call it then.
Okay.
We didn't split up until we got to Camp Barclay, and they changed things.
And how long were you there before you were sent overseas?
We went from Camp Camel on Tennessee maneuvers.
What do you remember about maneuvers?
Pardon?
What are your most vivid memories about maneuvers? What do you remember most about maneuvers?
Oh, in the 43 was there. Tennessee maneuvers, yeah.
What do you remember about the training during maneuvers?
Actually, training and maneuvers are almost like combat when you first get into it. There's not an awful lot of difference. You hear your guns are cracking, you hear this, and you have your quiet moments, and you have this, see.
And where was the port of embarkation for you?
Well, after maneuvers now, we went to Camp Barclay, Texas.
And what type of training did you do?
We stayed down there for almost a year there.
And when did you go overseas?
Oh, October 45. No, 44. 44.
What type of ship did you cross the ocean on?
Empress of Australia, World War I.
Did you get seasick?
I never heaved okay, but I didn't feel good a lot of times. I'd get out on deck and walk.
And where did you arrive?
In camp in England, Southampton.
And from there, where did you go to?
From there, we went to what they call Tidworth Barracks in England for a while. Then we got another boat. I forget the name of that one when we went across the channel. I think when I left there, I think we left there from London.
Where in France did
Le Havre.
Le Havre. And from Le Havre, where did you go to?
Well, we leaped and bound, and the first action we seen, the best of my knowledge, was seemed like around the December the 4th.
And where was that?
That in I don't know what, kind of southern France in there. Anyway, we taken the Maginot Lines. I think that was the first action we saw in there.
And what do you remember about that act? Well, what unit were you with at the time?
This one, the 12th Armored Division.
17th.
Yep.
I guess that was the Armored Infantry Battalion.
Right.
And B Company.
B Company.
What was your rank at the time?
Tech Sergeant.
Tech Sergeant.
I was a platoon sergeant all the way from Fort Knox, I think.
Okay. And what do you remember about the battle on December 4th, 5th?
Well, the first battles I remember, we had taken a town, and we'll go through it, and I seen the tanks were trying to go ahead of us, and some of them got knocked out, and they're rolling right back down the hill. Then all of a sudden there's barracks up there, and all of a sudden we seen stuff start pouring out of the barracks. And the Germans, they seemed to have they put two metal walls in there, and they filled those walls full of sand. And when they shoot holes in them, the sand would pour out, but we didn't know that. So we taken that one, and a couple of days later, we had to take the Maginot Lines in.
What do you remember about the Maginot Line?
Well, we started into it. We'd taken a little town before we got there, and was going up the hill in a valley. That's the first actually casualty I see that my tomb got into him was going in a little valley, and they had us zeroed in with a mortar. And there's getting a lot of casualties. I told them to get out there, let's get out on the flatland where they don't have that, they can't zero in as much on the flatland as they can in these valleys. So, and after a while there, it got dark, then we taken the pillboxes and stuff. We stayed there. We went and dug foxholes, and I think we stayed there about a week and a half, 2 weeks in the foxholes.
After those 2 weeks, where did you go from there?
They pulled us back in reserve for a while, and I'm trying to think of the name of the town now. But the next action we had, like, from that was Harles. That was, I went into action there on January the 17th, 44.
45.
Yeah.
And what do you remember about Harles?
Well, that's where we got captured at. I was a prisoner of war then. our captain surrendered us at about, I think about 8, 10 of us they had us in the basement. Some of us were wounded and some of them wasn't, so.
So the company of the 17th was captured, probably? I guess.
I had my squads out. I was with the anti-tank platoon, but they never used the guns. They always used us as infantry. And so we went in there and taken most of the town that day, and I don't know how many prisoners we take, probably 50 or 60. Then the Germans, they moved back in that night of the 17th, and next morning they was dug in all around us. So our captain surrendered us. So then we went next little town over and stayed one night. Then they marched us across the Rhine into Germany. An old motorboat, barge, I guess you'd say.
And did you ever ride on a boxcar, train?
We stayed in a little stalag, they call it there, for about 5 or 6 days. Then they take us out and stacked us in boxcars.
And what were they 40 and 8?
We stayed in the boxcars for 48 hours. We didn't even have a place to sit down or couldn't lay down. You had to stand up for 48 hours. When the Germans there'd be an air raid, they'd take off and go in the shelter, but they'd leave us sitting on the railroad tracks.
And after the boxcar, where were you?
They take me to, I don't remember the prison camp, but at Hammelburg, Germany. And that's where we stayed till, let's see, somewhere around in March, I think it was. And that's when Patton tried to liberate. They had a son-in-law in that camp, and he tried to liberate the camp. Sent a 40 miles ahead of the line, and he got all of them. They did get to the camp, but they all got knocked out. They come in, they put them right in the prison camp with us after that.
Were there any British soldiers in the camp, or were they all American?
Right there, there might have been a few, but there's very few at that time. There's mostly American.
Now, who was your best friend in your unit?
Best friend?
Yeah.
Sergeant O'Sullivan.
Was he captured with you?
Yeah, he was captured with him. Bernard Berger.
What was his rank?
O'Sullivan was a private. He was first sergeant, got busted about a month before he went over. And Bernard Berger was a supply sergeant. And that's the three. There's other ones in there, but that's the three. That's the three stayed together in the camp there.
Where was O'Sullivan from? Where was he from, O'Sullivan?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago. And how about Berger?
Berger's from a little town out across from Philadelphia in New Jersey. I think.
Camden?
Pardon?
Camden, New Jersey?
No, it's just a little closer than that. To Philadelphia.
It's in New Jersey?
Yeah, it was in New Jersey, yeah. Berger's passed away. O'Sullivan, I talked to him not too long ago. He's in Chicago. He's retired, of course, he's 85 too, so.
All right, you said you were in Hammelburg till March?
I think it's sometime in March.
And then
they pulled us out of there and put us in boxcars again and shipped us to Nuremberg.
how long were you in the boxcars this time?
This time I think it was only in there about 24 hours.
And you went to Nuremberg?
Nuremberg was in there for, I think about a month, something like that.
Do you remember what prison camp it was?
No, I don't.
It was a stalag, though?
No, I don't remember the stalags at all. Then they pulled us out of there and started us marching then to Munich, little town right outside of Munich called Moosburg.
Oh, that's Stalag 7A.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know and that's where we were liberated from.
And do you remember what unit liberated the camp?
12th Armored Division. but we couldn't get to talk to them.
What's that?
We couldn't get to talk to any of them.
No.
It was very orderly. The Germans come down from the Tower of the Guard, and the Americans went up. So
Did you lose a lot of weight?
well, quite a bit, from 200 to 150.
Now, while you were in these camps, did you ever get Red Cross parcels?
We got Red Cross parcels once a week, I think it was. A lot of stuff had been removed, but the parcel had to go, were supposed to go for one man, had to go for 7.
And did you get any black bread, sawdust bread?
We got a little of that, very little of that. Most of the thing we got was potato peeling soup.
Potato peeling soup.
With a lot of sand in it. I think it's where they wash to peel the potatoes.
Did you get any ersatz tea or ersatz coffee?
Pardon?
Did you get any ersatz tea or ersatz coffee?
No.
Now,
At that point, I don't hear ever heard of body lies now, but everybody in camp. And now at that point, we had all kinds of prisoners in there. Russian prisoners, you name it. There's about 35,000 in that camp, and that camp was loaded with lice. They had to de-lice us before they do anything, burn all the clothes up, give us new clothes, and put us through whatever they did, spray us down water, give us a bath with it, you know.
Was a lot of dysentery?
Yeah, there was. That was awful bad for us. I was lucky when it didn't.
Now, did anyone that was with you, did anyone pass away? Did anyone die?
Either some passed away, but I didn't know them.
No.
We had a doctor in camp, like Hammelberger, and he told us that if you take a little exercise every day and don't get sick, he says you'll make it.
Now, when you were liberated, how long did you have to stay in the camp before you were let out?
Let's see, we was liberated sometime around the 1st of May, and they'd flown us out of Germany. We were sitting on the field, waiting to be flown out on May the 8th, when the war was over.
On VE Day?
Pardon?
I said on VE Day.
Yeah.
And where were you sent to?
Camp Lucky Strike in France.
Near Le Havre.
I don't know what town I was near of.
And how did you get back to the United States? How were you sent back?
First, they having trouble with sending us back. They kept us on quite a while, you know, and they'd only give us they won't let you eat much, you know. They'd feed you 6 times a day, because if you eat too much, it'd ruin your stomach. So they kept us there, I think, for about 3 weeks. And they gained us weight. They'd go like ice cream and stuff. They really feed us good, but it's 6 times a day. Then we couldn't get any transportation that time back to the States, so I take a 7-day leave and went to London.
How did you finally get sent back to the States?
Sent back to the States. We reported a little camp, I think the same one in Tidsworth. And then they sent us down to Portsmouth, England, and put us on a LST. That's how we crossed the Atlantic.
And what state did you go back to? Go back to New York?
I landed here, you mean?
Yeah.
Norfolk, Virginia.
Norfolk, Virginia. When were you discharged?
October 28, 1945.
Did your family come to see you, or did you go to see them when you got back?
Pardon?
When you got back to Norfolk, did you go to see your family right away?
No, we didn't. Actually, we didn't have a telephone though. I lost my...
Did your mother or father get a telegram saying you're missing or
No.
a prisoner?
In fact, I lost my dad while I was in Germany. I didn't know it until I got back. I think he died May the 12th.
What rank were you discharged?
Master Sergeant.
And from what camp were you discharged from?
Camp Chaffee, Arkansas.
And And what did you do after the war, after you were discharged?
Where did I work after? I went home and stayed about 4 days, 5 days, and I come to Detroit, Michigan, and I started to trade there as a brick mason. And I worked at it for 37 years.
When were you married?
What?
When were you married?
December the 1st, 1945.
And how many children do you have?
2
And
boys.
Grandchildren?
I got 1 grandson.
One grandson. And is there anything you wanted to say to younger generations?
No, I think that's it. I've been retired for 20 years. My health's not very good, but
So what veteran organizations did you join?
I only belong to the VFW, and that's about all.
And how long have you been coming to reunions?
To the reunion? Now that, I'll have to guess that. I don't know what the first one. I've been coming to them for the last, I don't go to all of them, okay? But the first one, I think sometime, let's say 73.